Ready. Play.
Tommy Paul, Daniil Medvedev. This is a repeat of last year's semi-final, was it?
Semi-final, yeah.
Yeah, and Paul had chances in that match from memory.
Paul rolled his ankle in the second set
That's
tiebreak,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Was in a slightly more, I guess, winning position earlier, but even that breaker, yeah, easily could have won that. Honestly, I don't really know what to think about this one. I wish we
Right.
got that Medvedev-Mikkelsen match last night, because that would have at least been some sort of an indicator of what Daniil is playing like on these courts in Indian Wells. Relatively new, but yeah, still very slow. He's still complaining. And last 2 years he was complaining too. He said that it's not a hard court, and we should trust him. He's a specialist. And yeah, I mean, it's not really like very hardcore-ish conditions, but he was still reaching finals 2 consecutive years and only losing to
Yeah.
Alcaraz. But he was entering with so much more momentum from February, 2023 especially, but even last year. So that's why I'm kind of undecided, to be honest. And as you said, Tommy almost beat him last year in Indian Wells. I wish we got at least one like real match for Daniil this event so far. And we just didn't get that because Buyun Chaketa was like outplayed just very comfortably by him, and Mikkelsen yesterday. What a beautiful couple of games, but not much more.
Yeah, but I think possibly for those reasons, and as you say, despite this probably not necessarily being his ideal hard court tournament, I mean, any hard court tournament, Daniil Medvedev should be in with a shout at, especially as the fact he's probably reached the final or won pretty much all of them on tour, certainly the big ones anyway. And yet, this one wouldn't necessarily, but I think maybe there was, just thinking about it, the fact that he played Tommy Paul in the semis last year, maybe the draw wasn't too bad. As you say, his form for the last 2 years was 2023, I think, was really good, right? I think that's the year when he won. He won Miami after this, but he'd also won maybe
4 out of
Rotterdam
5 titles, yeah, and that fifth
Yeah.
event was Indian Wells,
Yeah.
where he reached the final. So he basically had an incredible streak in February and March.
Exactly, yeah. And then last year was not as good, but he'd obviously made the final in Australia. Whereas this year, his form is by his 8-year, 6-year, 7-year stretch, 6-year stretch, it's just rock bottom over the last 6 years. This is his worst year so far in my memory, anyway. Considering he was making slam finals in previous years. And he made the Australian Open final.
Yeah, but like post
Australia, he made Acapulco semis, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, but no, I'm not thinking of Indian Wells. Just thinking of like the latter half of the year.
Oh yeah, sure. Anyway,
that was when he dropped out of the top 10, right? Or like dropped out of the top 10 after Australia 23. But yeah, I mean, sure, obviously he's in a bit of a rough spot, and the fact that he didn't get that win against Griekspoor in Dubai, that was also a bit brutal. He really needed that. And if we're looking at just like purely conditions, Dubai was definitely more suitable. So I just have a feeling he might like again kind of undermine his chances for success, but we'll see.
I mean, he may suffer from the fact that he's played, Mikkelsen, who retired, and Boo, to the loss of just 4 games. He may suffer from that in this particular match, because actually some people have suggested that he's playing better than his results are giving. Maybe that match against Griekspoor you just mentioned, maybe he goes on and takes the title in Dubai, and maybe his results are not quite, he loses that 5-setter in Australia. That could have gone either way and probably should have gone the way of Daniil.
No, I mean, it's just Dubai. Like, I would agree with that on Dubai. But before then, it was like a set of really horrible performances.
Fair. I'm going to go with Tommy Paul.
Can't blame you. I think I might too. Yeah, it's like a 50-50-ish match. I trust him more.
Yeah. So there we go. Tommy Paul rounding off the quarterfinals. I would have Griekspoor therefore playing Tsitsipas and Fils up against Tommy Paul. But as you say, a great opportunity for all 8 players, but probably 5 or 6 would be saying, if you believe in yourself, and I think Rune is obviously a very confident boy. Tsitsipas, his confidence should be at its best that it's been for a year or so. Medvedev, well, we know about the travails that he's had, but his CV is probably the best amongst them. There's Tommy Paul as well. I mean, I've got Tommy Paul making the quarters, and I would probably think he would beat Fils as well. So 5, 6 players there. Griekspoor as well. No reason why you wouldn't believe in yourself and back yourself to make the final of Indian Wells.
Yeah, Giron and Watanuki kind of look like the only outsiders here.
Right. They could pull off one win. They could pull off one, but to keep that going would be
to pull off
amazing.
3 seems pretty uncertain. I mean, just not impossible, but definitely not too realistic. But yeah, the other 6, I think, it's obviously not even between them, but like, yeah, they're all in their game. They're all in contention.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.